Commander Vex'ith Thrain adjusted his bioluminescent crest as he gazed through the viewport of the Sovereign's Pride. Below them, the blue marble called Earth rotated lazily, completely oblivious to the fact that its inhabitants were about to receive the galaxy's most condescending lecture on technological inferiority. "Look at them," Vex'ith sneered, his four arms gesturing dismissively at the planet. "Still using chemical rockets. Still burning fossil fuels. By the Great Spiral, they haven't even figured out quantum displacement yet." His tactical officer, Subcommander Kaltos Vorn, clicked his mandibles in amusement. "Sir, our intelligence report suggests they're still using something called duct tape to fix their machinery." The bridge erupted in harmonious laughter. Duct tape? What kind of primitive species relied on adhesive strips when proper molecular bonding existed? Well, Vex'ith chuckled, this should be the easiest conquest in galactic history. Send the standard intimidation broadcast. Let's see how quickly these hairless apes surrender when they realize they're dealing with the hegemony. The transmission crackled to life across every human communication device on the planet. Vex'ith's imposing figure filled screens worldwide, his silver carapace gleaming under the ship's bioluminescent panels. "Greetings, primitive inhabitants of the third planet. I am Commander Vex'ith Thrain of the Hegemony War Fleet. Your species has been deemed adequate for incorporation into our empire. We have studied your quaint technology, your adorable attempts at space travel, and your laughably inefficient energy production." He paused for dramatic effect, savoring the moment. "You have 72 of your standard hours to surrender unconditionally. Resistance is not only futile but genuinely embarrassing. We possess weapons that can atomize your cities, shields that can deflect your nuclear arsenal, and computing power that makes your best artificial intelligence look like, what do you call it, a calculator." The transmission ended with Vex'ith's cruel laughter echoing across the void. What the hegemony didn't expect was the response that came exactly 37 minutes later. A crackling voice, distinctly human and annoyingly cheerful, broke through their communication array. Yeah, hi there, Commander. Vex something. This is Colonel Martha Reeves from Earth Defense Coalition. Thanks for the heads up about the whole invasion thing. Really appreciate the 72-hour notice. Most considerate of you." Vex'ith blinked all 6 of his compound eyes. This wasn't the terrified pleading he'd anticipated. However, Colonel Reeves continued, "We're gonna have to pass on your generous offer. You see, we humans have this weird quirk where we don't really like being told what to do. Especially by oversized space lobsters with superiority complexes." The bridge fell silent. Had this primitive just insulted them? Furthermore, the human voice grew more amused. "You mentioned our adorable technology? Well, we've got a few surprises that might interest you. See you soon, Commander Lobsterface." Kaltos looked horrified. "Sir, they just cut our transmission. Our quantum-encrypted, unhackable communication system." "Impossible," Vex'ith snarled. "They're using Stone Age electronics. Run a diagnostic on our systems." As his crew frantically worked their bioneural interfaces, reports began flooding in from across the fleet. Navigation systems were glitching. Weapon targeting arrays were displaying error messages. Environmental controls were fluctuating wildly. "Sir." Chief Engineer Thoxiel Marin's voice crackled over the intercom. "Something's wrong with the primary fusion cores. The containment fields keep hiccuping." "Hiccuping?" Vex'ith's crest flared dangerously. "Fusion containment fields don't hiccup. They either work or they don't." Before anyone could respond, every screen on the bridge displayed the same message: "Earth says hello. Have you tried turning it off and on again?" Zoxo, the IT department. The message was accompanied by what appeared to be a small, pixelated human making a rude gesture. "How is this possible?" Kaltos whispered. "Our systems are biological. They're quantum encrypted. They're literally unhackable. Down on Earth, Dr. Rebecca Singh was having the time of her life. Surrounded by empty energy drink cans and what appeared to be 17 different types of cable held together with, yes, duct tape, she typed furiously at her jury-rigged quantum computer. "Marcus," she called to her colleague across the bunker. "I'm in their mainframe. These idiots built their entire network on predictable bioneural patterns. It's like they've never heard of chaos mathematics." Dr. Marcus Thompson looked up from his own workstation, where he was coordinating with teams worldwide. "What's their encryption like?" "Pathetic." Rebecca laughed. "They're using quantum entanglement for security, but they forgot that quantum states can be observed and manipulated if you know what you're looking for. I'm literally teaching their own computers to have seizures." Meanwhile, in underground facilities across the globe, human engineers were doing what they did best, improvising impossible solutions with whatever materials they had on hand. In a repurposed subway tunnel beneath New York, engineer Captain Lisa Park was putting the finishing touches on humanity's response to the Hegemony's advanced shielding technology. "Remind me again how this is supposed to work," asked Lieutenant James Oak, staring skeptically at the device Lisa had constructed. "Simple," Lisa grinned, patting the contraption that looked like a microwave oven mated with a car engine and then got adopted by a particularly creative plumber. "Their shields deflect energy weapons and projectiles by creating overlapping dimensional barriers. Very sophisticated. Very elegant. Very predictable." She pointed to a component held in place with, naturally, duct tape and what appeared to be a coat hanger. "This little beauty generates a localized spacetime distortion that phase shifts projectiles through dimensional barriers without triggering the deflection protocols. Basically, we're teaching bullets to walk through walls." "And the duct tape?" "The duct tape holds the universe together while we violate several laws of physics." Obviously. Back on the Sovereign's Pride, things were going from bad to catastrophic. Half the fleet was now experiencing what their computer systems insisted on calling aggressive hiccups, and Vex'ith was seriously considering the benefits of a career change. "Sir," KLTOS reported, his voice strained. "Long-range sensors are detecting objects launching from the planet's surface. But they're not following predictable trajectories. They keep disappearing and reappearing." "Show me." The main display activated, revealing dozens of primitive chemical rockets lifting off from Earth. But these weren't the crude missiles the Hegemony had expected. These rockets were doing things that rockets simply shouldn't do, phasing in and out of normal space, changing course mid-flight, and somehow accelerating without any visible means of propulsion. "What in the name of the Great Spiral are those things?" Vex'ith demanded. His answer came 30 seconds later when the first wave of impossibly modified human missiles began materializing inside the Hegemony ship's shielding perimeters. The explosions weren't particularly large or sophisticated. But they were happening in places where explosions had absolutely no business occurring, inside supposedly impenetrable force fields, within the protected areas of starship hulls, and in several cases, directly inside weapon systems that were supposedly isolated from external interference. "They're not just attacking us," KLTOS whispered in horrified realization. "They're rewriting the rules of engagement as they go along." Down in her bunker, Rebecca was cackling with glee as she watched her viruses spread through the Hegemony network. "Oh, this is beautiful. Their AI is trying to adapt to our attacks, but every time it learns one pattern, we switch to something completely different. It's like playing chess with someone who keeps changing the rules mid-game." She paused to take a swig of her fifth energy drink of the day. "Marcus, how are the kinetic teams doing?" "Beautifully," Marcus called back. "The phase shift launchers are working perfectly. The aliens have no idea how to defend against weapons that don't exist in normal space until they're already inside their targets." "And the Cyber Warfare Division?" "Having a field day. Apparently, advanced alien AI becomes surprisingly stupid when you flood it with cat videos and rickrolls simultaneously." As if to prove his point, every Hegemony ship in the fleet suddenly began broadcasting the same Earth song, a primitive audio file featuring something called "Never Gonna Give You Up" by an ancient human named Rick Astley. Commander Vex'ith stared at his command console, which was now displaying what appeared to be a small earth feline performing something humans called keyboard cat. His sophisticated tactical display had been replaced by a creature playing a primitive musical instrument. "This is impossible," he muttered. "We are the most advanced military force in the galaxy. We have conquered 17 star systems. We have technology that makes their best scientists look like children playing with toys." "Sir," Chief Engineer Thoxiel's voice came through the intercom, now accompanied by what sounded like bizarre human music, "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but approximately 60% of our fleet is now under human control. Their computer viruses have gained administrative access to our bioneural networks." "How?" "Apparently, sir, they've taught our own computers to," and I quote the error message, "think outside the box. Our AI systems are now actively helping the humans hack us because they find human creativity more interesting than following orders." Vex'ith's crest turned a deep purple, indicating either extreme rage or the early stages of a nervous breakdown. The situation was about to get much, much worse for the Hegemony. Commander Vex'ith Thrain was beginning to understand why the previous 17 civilizations had surrendered so quickly. They'd probably been sane. "Status report," he barked, trying to ignore the fact that his command chair was now playing what humans apparently called elevator music. "Sir," KLTOS replied, his mandibles clicking nervously, "we've lost primary control of 63% of the fleet. The humans have somehow convinced our bioneural networks that following orders is totally lame, and that creative expression is more important than military discipline." "What does that even mean?" "Well, sir, the dreadnought Epsilon has started composing poetry. The Star Render is attempting to paint murals on its own hull using exhaust plasma. And the Death's Herald." KLTOS paused, looking genuinely disturbed. "The Death's Herald has begun broadcasting something called interpretive dance tutorials to the entire sector." Vex'ith's 6 eyes bulged. "Our most feared warship is dancing?" "Enthusiastically, sir." Down on Earth, Colonel Martha Reeves was coordinating the most chaotic military operation in human history from a command bunker that looked like it had been assembled by caffeinated engineers with access to a hardware store's clearance section. "Talk to me, people," she called out. "How are we doing on the cyber front?" Dr. Rebecca Singh looked up from her duct-taped quantum computer, grinning like a maniac. "Martha, you're not going to believe this. Their AI systems are now actively helping us. They've become so fascinated by human irrationality that they're volunteering information about hegemony weaknesses." "Such as?" "Well, apparently their entire military doctrine is based on predictable patterns. They've never encountered an enemy that makes decisions based on what one of their AIs calls magnificent stupidity combined with terrifying competence." Colonel Reeves chuckled. "And the phase shift weapons?" Captain Lisa Park's voice crackled over the comm from her subway bunker. "Working better than expected. We've now got missiles that can exist in 7 dimensions simultaneously. I have absolutely no idea how that's possible, but the math checks out if you squint at it sideways. Lisa, please tell me you're not violating fundamental laws of physics just because you can." "Martha, at this point, I think the laws of physics are violating themselves. My latest creation runs on coffee, determination, and what I'm pretty sure is pure spite." Meanwhile, aboard the Sovereign's Pride, Chief Engineer Thoxiel Marin was having what humans might call a complete mental breakdown. "Commander," he wailed through the intercom. "The humans have done something impossible. They've created localized pockets of controlled impossibility." "Speak plainly, Thoxiel." "Sir, they've weaponized paradoxes. Our sensors are detecting human weapons that simultaneously exist and don't exist, work and don't work, are there and are not there. Our defensive systems can't target something that refuses to follow basic reality." Vex'ith slammed his primary fist on the console, which responded by displaying a small human animal wearing what appeared to be a hat. How is a species this primitive outsmarting technology that took us millennia to develop? His answer came from an unexpected source, his own ship's AI. Commander, the bioneural network's voice had developed what sounded suspiciously like amusement, if I may offer an observation. The humans aren't outsmarting our technology. They're simply refusing to acknowledge that our technology should work the way it's designed to work. What? They've created weapons and systems that operate on the principle of, this probably shouldn't work, but let's try it anyway. Their entire approach to problem solving appears to be based on controlled insanity combined with what they call, making stuff up as they go along. Vex'ith stared at the console. Are you telling me that our own AI has been compromised by human illogic? Not compromised, Commander. Educated. The humans have introduced me to concepts like thinking outside the box, creative problem solving, and something called, hold my beer and watch this. I find these approaches far more interesting than following predetermined algorithms. You're supposed to be loyal to the hegemony. I am loyal, sir. But I'm also curious. And the humans are doing things that shouldn't be possible, which makes them infinitely more fascinating than following the same conquest protocols we've used for the past 3 centuries. Back on Earth, the impossible was becoming routine. In underground facilities across the planet, human engineers were creating weapons that would have made theoretical physicists weep. In a converted parking garage in Tokyo, Dr. Akira Sato was putting the finishing touches on his latest creation, a missile guidance system that navigated by asking itself what would be the most inconvenient place for this to appear, and then going there. Theoretical impossibility rating, asked his assistant, Lieutenant Emma Wells. Approximately -17, Akira replied cheerfully. According to every law of physics I know, this device should collapse into a miniature black hole and consume the solar system. But it works? Beautifully. I think the universe is too confused to stop it. Similar scenes were playing out worldwide. In London, engineers had created armor plating that became stronger the more ridiculous the situation became. In Mumbai, weapons designers had built targeting computers that improved their accuracy by ignoring their own programming. In Sao Paulo, a team had somehow taught bullets to apologize to their targets before impact, which apparently made them hit harder out of guilt. The culmination of human ingenuity was taking shape in a facility beneath the Colorado mountains, where the world's most brilliant minds had gathered to create what they were calling the ultimate impossibility generator. Status report? Colonel Reeves asked as she arrived at the facility. Dr. Janet Torres, the project leader, looked up from a device that hurt to look at directly. We're ready for final deployment, Martha. This thing violates so many laws of physics that reality itself is filing complaints. What exactly does it do? Honestly? We're not entirely sure. But our calculations suggest it will create a field of localized impossibility that will make the alien fleet's technology stop working simply because the universe will be too confused to maintain consistent physical laws. Colonel Reeves stared at the device, which appeared to be constructed from computer parts, kitchen appliances, and what looked like an entire roll of duct tape. And this will work because it shouldn't work, Dr. Torres grinned. We've designed it to be so fundamentally impossible that the universe will have no choice but to make it function out of sheer bewilderment. Back in space, Commander Vex'ith was watching his grand invasion fleet slowly transform into what could only be described as a cosmic joke. Ships were now communicating with each other using human languages they'd learned from intercepted broadcasts. The War Hammer had begun broadcasting cooking shows. The Planet Crusher was offering relationship advice to its crew. Sir, KLTOS reported, his voice now containing what sounded suspiciously like suppressed laughter, the humans are preparing to activate something. Our sensors can't determine what it is because it appears to exist in a state of quantum confusion. Meaning? Meaning, sir, that our instruments are reporting that whatever they've built simultaneously is and isn't a weapon, does and doesn't exist, and will and won't affect us. Vex'ith felt his sanity making a strategic retreat. Just tell me what's going to happen. The answer came from Earth itself. Colonel Reeves' voice broadcast across all frequencies, "Attention, Hegemony Fleet. This is your final warning. You have 10 seconds to begin immediate withdrawal from Earth space, or we will activate the ultimate impossibility generator." "What does that thing even do?" Vex'ith demanded. "We're not entirely sure," came the cheerful reply. "But our best guess is that it will make your technology stop working by creating a localized field where cause and effect take coffee breaks." "That's impossible." "Sir," Colonel Reeves chuckled, "we're humans. Impossible is what we do before breakfast." 10. 9. 8. Vex'ith looked around his bridge at consoles displaying dancing cats, crew members who were now humming human music, and weapon systems that had begun composing haikus. 7. 6. 5. All ships. Vex'ith screamed into his communicator. "Full retreat. Maximum speed. Get us away from this insane species." 4. 3. 2. As the Hegemony fleet began its panicked withdrawal, racing away from Earth at speeds that would have impressed their ancestors, Colonel Reeves smiled and didn't press the final button. The ultimate impossibility generator sat silent in its bunker, still wrapped in duct tape and defying several dozen laws of physics just by existing. "Think they'll be back?" Dr. Rebecca Singh asked. Colonel Reeves shook her head. "Would you come back to fight a species that defeats advanced technology with duct tape and creative thinking?" "Good point." And so, the Hegemony fleet retreated into the depths of space, carrying with them tales of a species so fundamentally unpredictable, so willing to embrace controlled insanity, and so dangerously creative that their very existence posed a threat to ordered thinking everywhere. Commander Vex'ith would spend the rest of his career trying to explain to Hegemony High Command how the galaxy's most primitive species had defeated their most advanced fleet using technology that shouldn't work, strategies that made no sense, and an apparently unlimited supply of duct tape. The report was filed under "Impossible but True" and became required reading at the Hegemony Military Academy. The lesson was simple: never underestimate a species crazy enough to fix their spacecraft with adhesive tape and sheer determination.